Today is October 31st, Halloween, and today's agricultural fact of the day is actually a repeat one that I did in March, and it got a lot of heat, so we'll see how this goes. It's about store-bought eggs and the freshness of store-bought eggs, and it blew up in March. Today's agricultural fact: to determine freshness of store-bought eggs, a code is placed on the carton in the form of a Julian date, in addition to other information like packing facility codes. The pack date is typically on the second line all the way to the right. Eggs I bought on October 24th had a pack date of 273, which means they were packed on September 29th. Now, there were some controversial comments when I did this fact back in the springtime, because I did read somewhere that farmers have up to 30 days to pack their eggs, so like being placed into cold storage, which I do know happens in the industry. And there were some people that gave me a little bit of heat about that, so I'm going to omit that from this fact. But I do have a boatload of egg cartons here because we do an egg subscription fundraiser every week, so we have egg cartons hanging around all the time. So let me show you a couple of them. Now, I did this in class and I compared them. When you look at the brand, you can see some alignment with different quality standards. So this first one that I have here is Great Value Jumbo Brown Eggs, and the Julian date on this is 1/22, and you can easily Google Julian date calendar and find one. Let me see, I don't know where it went. Oh, there it is. Right here. So the Best Buy is on the top. These cartons are not all stamped the same. This Julian date is right here, 1/22. I believe this is the plant code, but somebody can correct me. So when I pull up the Julian calendar, it is 1/22 is May 2nd, and the Best Buy date is June 29th. This is another Great Value carton, and the Julian date is 89. So when I pull that up, it is March 30th, and the Best Buy date is May 27th. So that is a solid 2 months from the date of pack. After hearing that, my kids decided that they probably didn't want to buy eggs at Walmart anymore, but obviously I told them. And the question that was repeated back in March when I did, or late February when I did this fact, was, what does it matter? Why does it matter if eggs are fresh or not? They can stay good for months, and that is true. But as eggs age, they start to decompose. And if you took an egg that has been sitting in the fridge for 3 months, I showed that in an egg fact at the beginning of the year, and you crack it next to a fresh egg, you will see the differences in that yolk. As the egg decomposes, the yolk starts to flatten out and the egg whites spread out more. The quality of it decreases. And if you're baking with it, it probably doesn't make that much of a difference. But if you're frying it up and eating it, there's definitely a quality difference that you would be able to taste if you're paying attention. This 18 count carton is Great Value Large White Eggs, and the Julian date is right here. It is 1/93. So when you look on this calendar, it brings up July 12th. And the Best Buy date is August 25th. So some of these are not as long of a difference in sell-by date. Others are drastic. Now, I don't know why that is. One point I did make to my students, though, is that we have only had smartphones for a relatively short period of time. They've been labeling these with Julian dates for many years, I'm sure long before smartphones. And most people aren't familiar with the Julian calendar. So before smartphones, you couldn't just Google it and look and see the transparency of when that was packaged, where now you can go and look up the Julian calendar and easily find what the pack date was on that. But that is a good question, and if somebody knows, please feel free to stitch this or write a reply on why they use the Julian calendar instead of putting the pack date on for the month and the date. Because especially with our food system, there is a lot of distrust in it, and I feel like by using the Julian calendar, it's just perpetuating that distrust. So anyway, hope you learned something today. Eggs can stay good for a long time. And for most people, freshness probably doesn't matter, but depending on what you're doing with them, it definitely matters.